Do you like the first one? Here's the second one. We started this lesson by talking about pitch, and basically, the pitch is the frequency that the string makes. When you vibrate the strings, it produces a frequency. If the frequency is high, that's a high note. If the frequency is low, that's a low note. And then we go on how does one control the frequency. And you can control it through three things. One, the mass of the string. That's why there are thicker strings and thinner strings on the guitar. The thicker ones, low frequency. The thin ones, high frequency. Two, tension. That's how you tune your guitar. You put more tension or less tension. The more tension, the higher the frequency. The less tension, the less the frequency. And third, and most importantly for guitar, is the length of the string. So basically what you do when you fret a string is you make it shorter, and therefore you make the frequency higher. If that doesn't make sense, watch it again or go watch the lesson. I still love you as a person. I don't know you. Then we bring back the language analogy. Music is a language, just like English. English has alphabet, so does music. English has 26 letters, music has 12 letters. They are A through G. Between each of them there's a sharp or a flat. Except between B and C there's no sharps or flats, just B and C. And E and F, there's no sharps or flats, just E and F. Other than that, it's A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, E. Then F, Hey, you messed up on this one. F, then F sharp or G flat, and then G, G sharp or A flat, and then A. And over and over and over we go. Continuing with that analogy, in order to speak a language, you have to have a certain amount of vocabulary. Music is the same. And Scott says you need to know the 12 notes we just mentioned, and you need to know 50 patterns in order to be able to play any rock and roll or pop music. So what you need to know are 20 chords, 14 scales, and 13 intervals. I know it sounds too low, but what he means is like you need to know what a major chord is, and then you can play that under like any major chord, like A or C or D major. That's just considered one chord. You'll understand why later. It's not as much as you think it is. It's just keep going. And then we go on into how do you have to know these things, and you have to know them in four ways. Just like a language, you need to be able to think it. You need to be able to understand the concept. What is a major chord? What is a minor chord? What is a seventh chord? What is a diminished chord? You need to be able to understand and articulate what those are in your head. Just like you can think a sentence in your head before you say it, you need to be able to think in music to understand what it is. The second way is to be able to read it. You don't have to do standard notation unless you want to do jazz or classical music, but in order to like learn something from the internet, you at least want to be able to read the chord chart. Third, and this is the most important one, is you need to be able to hear it. Just like if I say the word cat, I say the word dog, you know what that is. You need to be able to identify when you hear a major chord, that's a major chord. When you hear a minor chord, that's a minor chord. Not necessarily the perfect pitch, like this is an A major, but at least the relative pitch. This is a major chord. And based on that, you can make some educated guesses and you'll be able to play music by ear eventually. So you need to get your ears training. And he puts a lot of emphasis on that. Like he says the second course you take in music school is ear training. So work on it from the beginning. Listen out, don't just take every sound you hear as like ambiguous, because they do sound similar. They have a very distinct sound. What a major chord sounds like, what a minor chord sounds like, they have a distinct sound. You need to be able to identify those, and this is something that's going to take some time, so start working on it like as soon as you pick up your instrument. And a very good tip on that is to sing while you play. So if you play, well, one second. So if you look with me, this is a major chord. This happens to be an A major chord. Now this is a G major chord. It's gonna sound different, but it also sounds very similar. Now this is a minor chord. This is an A minor. Very different. G minor. A very good way to train your ears to be able to identify sounds is to sing while you play. So if you play any scale, once you learn scales, just hum the sounds like. He also says that the only way to prove that you know what something sounds like is to sing it. So if you want to convince a teacher or you want to pass an exam about the major scale, do you have trained ear for the major scale? The only way to prove that is to sing the major scale, to produce the sound. Work on ear training. Do the humming thing. I know it sounds might make you feel shy or awkward or something, but it really works. Also, here's a tip: you can only play solos as good as you can sound them. Like you can never play a better solo than you can sing a solo. Something to think about. This is taking so long. So, work on ear training, okay? And the fourth and final way is to be able to speak those patterns, as in play it in your instrument. Know what the shapes is, know what the patterns are, get your fingers familiar with it. The guitar is how you speak your music, is how you communicate your music. Know these shapes, understand them, listen to them, be able to read them, and be able to play them in your instrument. And then you can play all the pop music you want, and the Corin Scott, they'll be throwing money at you. The biggest thing, the biggest eye opener I took from this lesson is you are never going to be able to play a solo better than you can sing a solo. That's it. Second lesson done. Go watch lesson number 3. Also, give Scott some love. He's put a lot of effort into this. He's been sitting on a bucket. Can you imagine sitting on a bucket for 34 hours? I've done it before.